Attends, laisse-moi deviner. Tu veux apprendre le français mais tu sais pas exactement par où commencer? T'inquiète car je vais tout expliquer dans cette vidéo. Hey there, it's Ijlal, and in this video I'm going to tell you how I taught myself French for the last 8 years and how you can do the same thing completely for free. If it's your first time on my channel, I'm a 20-year-old Turkish girl who is also a polyglot and I've been learning French since 2016. Right now I hold both C1 and C2 certificates in French. No, I haven't lived there, I haven't studied there. I have spent 2 days in Paris, 2 days in Belgique, and a night in Suisse romande. So no, that's not an excuse. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to Paris for the second time and I'm quite excited. I haven't even taken a French class all this time, so it was mostly for free that I learned French and completely online. So in this video I'm gonna reveal all of my tricks and secrets. Let's get right into it. To start with, I think my French learning wasn't quite effective at the beginning because for the first 2 or 3 years, the only thing that I knew how to say was Bonjour, je m'appelle Iklal, j'ai 14 ans. And that was it. And that was me spending all of my time with French and making French my entire personality. Because I was just aiming to learn this language through language acquisition, like a baby, because babies only listen to languages, they don't make any efforts. Then at some point, I told myself, I should probably be taking things more seriously, like it doesn't look like I'm going to learn French only by listening to songs. So it was actually only in 2018 that I started to learn French in a way that we all understand it. Then during the lockdown, I worked a lot on my French, but it was the last time in my life I prioritized French because I started learning Italian and Spanish during the lockdown. Then in 2022, I got my French C1 certificate, which was my first language certificate ever. And I was planning to study in France. I got accepted from Panthéon-Assas, I got accepted from Lille. But then I thought that would be a better decision to study in Italy. In June, I passed the French C2 exam because right now my level is actually C2. So if you're someone who wants to learn French online, how you can learn it without making the same mistakes as I did? So I think there are a lot of things, and I just made a list of topics that I should talk about in this video on my Notion here. I think the topic is just a little bit too broad, but anyway, I have a few points that I should be covering in this video. So let's start by how we should be actually making the first steps into the French language. I think when we want to learn a language online, we should be compensating in some way the lack of a professional guidance, because when people learn languages at school or at language courses, they have a teacher who actually knows what to do and who has a structured learning style, even if I find it most of the times a bit restrictive. So when you're learning a language all alone, you don't have the structure. No one tells you that you should be learning this tense after that one tense. No one tells you what you should be learning next. And I think that's the most confusing part about being a self-learner. Basically, when I want to learn a language, the first thing I do is français A1, A2. When you make this search, you're going to find the related content. But the thing is, you're going to click on playlists. So now the playlists that you have here are like a structured French course. And if I had to highlight one playlist on YouTube, basically the one that I used to cover the French basics, it's the French Essential course of Learn French with Alexa. Like, I was listening to this back in 2018, but I just took a look at YouTube and I couldn't find something as complete as this. There are a lot of good French teaching channels on YouTube, but I think this is the most complete, comprehensive playlist from which one could learn A1 and A2 levels. So basically here she starts with like alphabet, greetings, days of the week, months of the year, and then she comes to articles because it's quite important. Like right now you don't know the difference between la pomme, une pomme, des pommes. You have no idea, you should be learning this. And then she starts with basic verb conjugations, which I find really, really important. So if I was you, basically that's what I did. I would take a French notebook and I would follow her videos as if she was my French teacher by taking notes of everything and giving myself the actual time to revise things and to internalize the information, because you're learning a new language. Your brain has to acknowledge an entire different system of communication and of expressing yourself, and it's not an easy task, so please take your time while watching this kind of content or learning things. Why I like her videos, other than they are really structured, is that she gets you to making sentences or speaking quite quickly, I can say, Because many of you, while learning languages, you guys make a great mistake that you don't realize, because basically that's the way of learning languages that you were used to back in school. Like, let's say you're just memorizing vocabulary lists or learning vocabulary around the topic without getting any context. Like, just imagine, does this sound like a speech to you? Apples, orange, avocado, watermelon, grapes. But instead, if you just know the verb acheter, the verb manger, the verb préparer, or you can say chaque samedi, je vais au marché pour acheter des pommes. That's basically what she teaches you on her channel. Because from a linguistic point of view, French isn't the most complicated language. If you speak English, you won't have difficulties with the structure. You can basically start making French sentences. Just work on it. Learn as many verbs as you can in present tense, then amplify your vocabulary, and then start making sentences. Add new information. Chaque samedi, every Saturday, I go to market. Avec ma mère, I go there with my mom. Like, you should be just making those longer sentences and amplifying your knowledge at the same time. Then also I'm going to recommend you a website. So this is Le Point du Flé, which is basically the French archive on the internet. Every French exercise, every French video is here, divided into topics. But I think only French teachers know about this website, which literally annoys me on a regular basis. Anyway, when you go here, you're just going to click on Apprendre le français, the content for learning French, and then you're going to go topic that you want to learn about. You can here practice your listening, compréhension orale, you can choose your level, and you can do the exercises. Those content are either uploaded by French teachers or directly taken from YouTube. Something else I know is that French grammar is extremely frustrating for many of you because it's a Romance language, and Romance languages have this reputation of having an unbelievable amount of exceptions in grammar rules. But you can actually manage to learn many of them. And in French, especially for verb conjugations, there is one tip that I have. Get a small French notebook that you're only going to use for conjugation. But some of you just get this wrong and you try to create your new Becherel. You don't have to do this. What you're going to do is, if you have some verb, you're going to take it. For example, in French, there are 3 groups of verbs. Parler, marcher, chanter, those are all first group. And once you learn how to conjugate the first group verbs, you're going to write like je parle, tu parles, il parle, nous parlons, vous parlez, il parle, je marche, tu marches, il marche, et voilà. You don't have to do it like je parle, je parlais, je parlerai, j'avais parlé, j'aurais parlé, que je parle. No, this is not the information that you're looking for. You can't learn all the French tenses at the same time. You just have to start with present tense, then go in the order. Follow some kind of structured material like YouTube playlists, like your language course, like French books that you find. You can get the most logical order of learning French grammar. By the way, when it comes to French books, I haven't used any books that you can't find on the internet. So if you want to get some help for grammar, something to just revise the things a bit, just search for PDFs on the internet. Honestly, that's what I did. I haven't bought any French textbooks unless it was in order to prepare for the French exams. So I think you can find pretty much everything you want on the internet. After learning your first few tenses and amplifying your vocabulary a bit, you will realize that you're slowly becoming an intermediate in French. And that's a crucial point because of the intermediate plateau that we call. You will have the impression that you don't know anything once again. But don't worry, because I think most of the intermediate level is about repeatedly watching content. Every French teacher on YouTube does this. They make French videos with French subtitles, comprehensible input in French. You can also search like Français intermédiaire, Français B1, B2, vlogs en français. This kind of videos are going to help you with French subtitles. First time, maybe you don't understand everything, or you're like, I can understand, but I'm far away from speaking like this, which is quite normal. Don't think that you have to, at this point, is, if necessary, watching the same video for 5 times. Until you understand everything, just follow subtitles, translate them if you need, translate the words that you don't know, note some structures, note some expressions, and then watch it again and again. I think what many people are getting wrong at B1 and B2 level is you don't consume enough content. You basically just still act like you are a beginner learner, and also get some help from English, because as your French improves, you will realize how much English and French share. This is really going to help you improve your French skills and sound more advanced while speaking it. This is going to happen by time, but it literally exclusively depends on you consuming content. When I was an intermediate in French, I just listened to a lot of podcasts, I watched a lot of YouTube videos from the type that I told you about, and then I wrote about them. Or I talked about them using the same vocabulary that they use in that content. In that way, you are not only someone who just passively consumes content and who just improves their understanding, then asking themselves, why can't I speak French? Because you don't make any efforts to produce something in this language. And something else that I'd like to highlight for intermediate French learners is especially the website TV5 Monde, because there are a lot of videos with exercises, which I think are always a bit more difficult than the indicated level on the website. So if you're like, I'm finally intermediate, and just come and just try to watch the intermediate videos here, maybe you're going to have some difficulties, but know that that's quite normal, because those are real, authentic French content. If you're having difficulty, just maybe go to A2, and that doesn't mean anything bad about your learning. That doesn't mean that you're not doing good, that you are below of your level. No, I think those content are just a bit falsely tagged. I don't know. So I would actually sincerely recommend someone to use it, because you will be at the same time consuming authentic French media and also learn some kind of really important vocabulary, which is a bit more of niche, you know? Not like the vocabulary classic things that you have on YouTube, but a lot of different topics with ready exercises, which I think is a great material. One thing you should be keeping in mind is that I know when I just tell you what to do, it sounds quite easy, but this is a matter of maybe like 2 years. It's okay if you're learning French since a year and you haven't reached B1. That's literally the most normal thing that could happen to someone, because I didn't even reach A1 after 3 years of learning, and right now look where I am. Okay, now let's talk about, I feel like I'm a solid intermediate in French. I know most of the verb tenses. I can actually talk about many topics. Sometimes I have difficulty talking with natives or watching Netflix, because that's quite difficult, but most of the time I feel quite à l'aise avec the French language. Okay, let's take you to B2 plus advanced level. This is a question I get often, which I obviously can't reply in this video because it's a different topic, but anyway, how do we get advanced level in a language? I don't think C1 and C2 should be like the ultimate goals of language learning. B2 should be the limit, because if you have B2, you should be able to do most of the things that you want with that language. C1 means you have expertise in that language. It's like as if you studied French at university. C2 is the most extra thing ever. Like, you shouldn't be aiming for C2 from now on. But if you're like, no, I want to hold that C1 certificate one day, even if it's going to be after 5 years. My way into C1 started in 2020 during the lockdown. That was when I stopped studying French, because at that point I basically knew all the grammatical topics and everything. So I started studying things in French. I started taking, like around lockdown, there were always this, you can take online courses from this and that platform. I did all that stuff in French. So I was basically taking random courses about history, about philosophy, about anything you can imagine in French. I was taking notes, I was watching the lectures. That's probably what kind of built my French C1. Then I started reading French books, classical books mostly. So in order to reach C1, you should have something that you're specialized at. If you're working, if you're studying, just try to learn about your discipline in French. That's what's going to take you to C1. Because in the past, even French exams had this classification. Like, you could choose if you want to take social sciences exam or sciences exam. Right now, it's not like that. At my C2 exam, I had first a topic about animal breeding and animal well-being in general, and I had a topic about journalism. I should have been able to choose if I want to get like positive sciences or social sciences, because it's quite normal if I don't have the scientific vocabulary for French, even if I'm taking the C2 exam, because C2 is literally you are specialized in something, and it's most probably going to be what's you're learning. I'm a political science student, and writing that 5 pages about journalism was literally pure joy, But talking about animal breeding, okay, I know French, but what can I say to you about that? I don't have the specific, impressive C2 vocabulary. That's the thing. And you are not supposed to have that because C1, C2, those are quite specific. If you're an engineer, if you can read about your domain in French, if you can watch something, join some kind of events, that's already great. So I think at the end, that's how I learned French. Basically, thanks to my greatest friend, internet. It's great if you have a language course. It's great if you have people to support you. But also it's okay if you don't have, like I quite literally don't have any French friends. I had no French friends that I could go up to when I received my C2 certificate. So stop procrastinating and just start working on things, because I know it's quite comforting and motivating to listen to advice or people who have already achieved what you want to achieve. But at some point you should start out. Thanks for watching my video, and hopefully it encouraged you to work on your French skills a bit, or if you were feeling lost. Hopefully right now you have a bit more idea of what to do. You can follow me on social media, and also you can check my Spotify to get a lot of French songs, and see you again on another video. Bye!